Welcome to the designer review. Before anything, let me tell you two things. The first point is to install the designer software. He did not need an educational record because just download the file, click on it, it will be installed, and the crack will be automatic. Just put it in the Windows firewall to access the internet. It should not have. Second point. The name of this fast mode part means that we are going to fast in a very short time. Let's get acquainted with the software. Certainly, many cases are not covered. We don't need it, at least for these trainings. About many issues. Let's talk. The software designer software is very technical. That is, it is a software that has a lot to say. But, for the purpose we have, we can easily get the result we want with less knowledge of this software. If you are interested, would you like to know more about the software? The course is available separately and you can take part in the tutorials from 0 to 100. There's a lot of different information out there about it. We can talk about it. What you see here in the picture, the result will be the rendering that I am giving you now. I'll show you. That is, with the simplest commands. I made this kind of fabric. I rendered it. It's definitely like 3D view, which is characteristic of its name. We're not going to see that result. I'm going to show you again. We're not going to see that result. What is the reason? The reason is that this result is rendered in Marmoset. And to achieve this result, we had suitable light, material, and model. So, if we build something inside the designer software, in order to be able to do the best we can, we need this for presentation as well, to have a good model, good lighting, good framing, and finally, we had good and suitable materials in mind for it. Now, let's leave this case. Let's go to the software itself. Very quickly, if I want to tell you, Software Designer consists of several. A very important window. The first window is the Explorer window. In this window, we open all the files that we open. And we can manage it here. If we want to import something from outside the software, we will do it from here. And here we manage it. So, it's kind of like that. My file management window. The second window is one of the most important is library window that you have anything need in designer software. Use it. You can use this window. Access. Have. I'm talking about it. We are going to use it a lot. My ways of using it. It's a little different. I'm going to explain it to you. The next window, which we are going to work in so much. Somehow, at night, we have pages. Dreaming is actually chess. That's the graph window. It's our window. Let's put the nodes in it. We connect to each other, and we come to the same conclusion. Let me tell you this. The note I'm saying is that these are the little squares that I put next to each other. Now, where do these nodes come from? Of library. That is, we add these nodes in the graph from the library, and we manage the connection between them. Now, the question that comes up more is that each of these is a series of adjustments. They should definitely have it. How do I access these settings? We get access when we double-click on any of these nodes in the graph window. Here in the Properties section, we went to the settings for the node we selected. We get access, a lot of tip. And you can set these settings and these connections in the Graph and Properties window. Match it to the desired result. Reach. I'm saying a lot about the desired result. Bear with me a little bit ahead of you, the type and structure that I have for this material. I got it off and I'm going to show it. And then finally, we do it once ourselves. We build. You can see how easy it is to use designer software. 2. We can do it unlimited. Various cases. Creating and producing. Just like any other software. We have a window. We have 2 dimensions. Window 3. Next there is a 3D model. That's the result of what we're doing in this graph window. We do and produce. We see on a material on this model with a light. Somehow, we can say that it is a marmoset on its own because it has different renders. And we can see the results of our work here on different models. In parentheses, we don't use this much. At least in the situation we are in now. Why? Because we learned marmoset. I'll show you how to set up the relationship between the designer and the marmoset in such a way that with each output, marmoset should be updated automatically so that we can see the result very clearly. But it's a window of work, and we often come to it because we want to understand a number of things. How they work, and how they go, and the very important window 2D view. In fact, it is our work with that texture or two-dimensional image that we have. We will build them. What is the essence of our work as a designer? Making 2D images. It can be used as a texture to take outside. Take these out before we take them out. In this window, we can completely see, and let's test it so that all of these things together. We are talking. I told you the whole designer software very quickly, more quickly. Now, let's go and see what the structure of working in the designer software looks like. For this purpose, I'm going to close 3D view. I'm going to close the library. I'll close the explorers too. I'm going to close properties. I'm going to get this 2D view window. I'm going to make it a little bigger so that we can. Let's zoom in. Well, let me give you some general explanations. The designer software works from left to right. That is, as if we want to write a text. In fact, when we read the text, you say that we read from the right to the left, or we read from left to right, or like math writing where you say we write from left to right. What I'm telling you is very important, because if we understand this, we know where the beginning of our work is and we know the end. Each of these squares that we have here, we call it node. We said these node from the library, and each of them does something for us. But how do these nodes connect to each other? Let me do a zoom back. Here with each other, we are talking. These nodes, they are connected to each other by a connection that we call a connection. These connections are responsible for providing information and next to node processing to the next node. Transfer from the left to the right is a very important issue. Same from left to right. This leads us to the conclusion that what? On the left side of node, located, input, our input. What the side? Located right, output, or it is our output. Every node in the designer software. It is possible that multiple inputs, an entry, or it should be without input. And on the other hand, there are several outputs of the processing ratio that it is doing inside itself. One output or no output at all. It should not has it. But a node needs information in order to be able to do processing. Inside itself exists, so it doesn't need input. The only state we don't need is our node. It should have an output. It's that its output node. Let's take a look at some of the examples here. Output node is like this. It can be the last point of our graph. We call this structure graph. To this, houses in those squares we say node. And we call these connections, right? Well, here it will be the last node. Where? Place. It has nothing to do with its continuation, and it's going to go to Marmoset. This is going to go in, for example, VRY Engine, Unreal Engine, or other places. We understood this. That is, what's the input? What's the output? What's the connection? Where is the endpoint of our work? Now, let's look at another interesting fact about this topic. In general, we have two connection models. That is, if I said connection, it means we have two models. We can say that we have two models of data. We have two models of information. We have information first, Derry scale. And it's going to be the next kind, color. You can probably know it's a gray scale is gray. And that's the yellow is color. Now, important topic, strictly. I can say that the most flawed I have seen to date, between who are learning to be designers, loved ones who are working with designers. It is not observing the type of data. It's very important. Let me tell you this way, gray data only works with itself. If your input is grayed out, you can't give it color data. Input node if. For example, if it's color, you can't give it gray. If it's gray, you can't give it color. When you want to combine the two, they must be of the same kind. They should be able to blend in with each other. So that's a very important point. This is how gray with gray, yellow with yellow. Now, let's go and examine a few more points that will serve as the final points here. And let's go to the structure that I built here, and I'm going to show you that. The designer is exactly this one. Puzzle. Or does it behave as a role model? And if we can recognize these behavioral patterns, as a designer, we can do anything. I'm telling you without exaggeration, we can do anything in the designer after we understand this. Do it. Well, first point. When you want to load a node here, for example, I'm going to come with a node called level here. I'll put it. Your input, which we said, is the most important part, which is actually this. Data is defined as gray or colored. Also, it's yellow. It's also gray. What does this mean? That means you can also give it gray data. But when you give it gray data, you will also output is gray. You can too. Data. Yellow in color.in this way. Output is yellow or color. Well, now I'm going to change the node here. I'll bring another node. For example, node safe transform grayscale. It is clear from the noun that this only works with grayscale. But what are we still looking at? To its input. The input no longer has the yellow color. That is, what will happen if I come and give him this yellow output? It gets an error. It turns red. And I can't process. To do. What should be done for such situations? Information must be transformed. That converts information. In the exercises that we do now, we do this a lot. This shape that you give it data like this gradient map in gray. What will be the output? A data. Color. Here is an important point that we had here. We will examine it again. Don't be worried at all. I still have nothing to say about how to navigate in the various things that are going on in the. There is a designer. I didn't talk about it. For now, we're putting the overall software structure together. We learn. Now let's go and see how we came to this conclusion at all. How do you do this pattern of military together? Now, see, it's a puzzle. If I want to analyze this, there's one part that is brown. There's one part where it's dark brown. One part for green, one part for this one color. And you can almost say that they have 4 layers. And if I want to do this in the real world, the steps I take are exactly the same. I shed the brown paint once. Once I'm going to implement the pattern of the darker brown, then the green, and then that one light color. So, why do I say first coffee, then green, then this one color? Because if you pay attention, this color, it's on top of all of them. Green color on dark color and there's brown underneath. That's how we can divide the different layers. Let us see and understand. Now, let's see how we made these things in the designer. Our first puzzle piece. This is how it is formed. I'm going to bring it a little lower. I've got a noise. I've got a grunge pattern here. I'm going to make a little move. Then I'll blur. Later, with the level of this gray state, that black and white values, and it has a middle gray that we come with node level. We turn it into a black and white map. We give it a blur that has softer edges, and then we define its color. This could be my first piece of puzzle. Let's move on to the second piece. I'm going to come back and take a map like this, blur it. I turn it into black and white with a level. I'll blur it again. The edges soften a little, and I give it color. The second part of my puzzle was also ready. I brought it up. The third piece can have a slightly different structure. The type of map that I have looks like this. I will warp it. That is, I will come and create a series of distortions inside it, blur it. I'm going to use the level to turn it into a black and white map, because in this case, we have both white and black again, middle gray, and then blur again. And finally, I'm going to paint it. Here's the third piece. My puzzle now. According to what I told you, first, we need to consider this layer. Let's add this layer to it, and finally, let's add this one piece to it. We did exactly that. We have a node called blend. It's a combination of. Now the combination that has happened. We took this pattern, we combined this one leg, and the result was something like that. Now, I'm going to go further. We said that when this combination, if that happens, it's time to add this, which does exactly that. We did. And the result is what we're seeing here. This is the same pattern that we have in the end of the work in our texture. Saw. Now, see how interesting and attractive the designer is. I came to another node. I turned it into a state that was like in a winter environment. This fabric is supposed to be used. It's as simple as that. With two of nodes, what did I do? I did these combinations. Now you know where the interesting part is? That if I choose the first node, and here in the random seed section, I hit this option, the result of my work, at the end of the story, it changes. And if I come, for example, I choose this one end. I'm going to select random seed. The same thing happens. I'm going to pick this one and get a random seed. The same thing happens. And this, the importance and superiority of the node-based structure over the other structures. When you change the beginning of the path, the whole path is relative to it. It will be updated. Well, so we've figured out here that we've built a map like this, the way we see it. And then with two nodes, we can turn it into one lore thing. Now, the pattern of the fabric I made is like this. What did I do when I came here? I came and added to. This is my own color image. And what has happened as a result? It has become base color, and then I took the output and took it to the Marmoset software, and this render of it got so easily the entire structure of the designer software and all the materials you see. It is made with a designer. That's how much. Simple and logical. We go piece by piece. We actually make the pieces of the puzzle. We connect them together, and we come up with a single result. That's what you're looking for. We're getting there. That's it. I won't make the video too long. In the video, the next one is about how to navigate working in designer software. We are talking and start our own work. We will do it. A little more about the software itself. To get information, I'm going to get into this section very quickly about how to make patterns, how to make fabrics, and the different nodes. Let's get to know more.